This is Yair Davidiy speaking to you from the land of Israel. I represent Brit-Am, movement of lost 10 tribes of Israel. We research the whereabouts of the lost 10 tribes of Israel, and we find them amongst Western peoples. And we use proofs from all different sources. From every source that is relevant or has some significance, some relevance to the subject. We examine it, we see the sources, we see what the facts tell us, and we see how they apply to this obvious, this self-evident, axiomatic ruling. The lost 10 tribes are today to be found amongst Western peoples, and it is everywhere. It is in history, it is in the Bible, it is in rabbinical sources, it is in every field of science and human endeavour, in the scholastic spheres, that somehow either might have something to say on those subjects. It says in mythology, linguistics, national characteristics, national psychologies, philosophies, the history of ideas, the history of human endeavour, the history of rulership, the history of civilization. It all points in the same direction, saying that the lost 10 tribes are amongst Western peoples. And we have said this in the past, and we have said it several times in different ways, and we have to say it again and keep on saying it because it is important and it's not getting through. We have to endeavour to our best to bring the word over, to bring this message to the public as much as we can, as well as we can, and how we can. And this is one of the ways we do it. And so we have decided to renew our efforts and even go back on previous talks and previous proofs and exemplifications that we have brought, and to do them again and to redo them and to emphasize them, because this is something that we must know, that should be known and deserves to be known and is worth knowing. It's worth your time. This could be one of the most important messages of your life. You don't know how divine providence wants things to be. This has an importance in its own right. At all events, the Bible tells us that the lost 10 tribes are amongst Western peoples. When we bring the whole message of the Bible, we bring all of the biblical proofs together, and we look at them as one coherent, complementary, whole, holistic body of evidence, with one verse complementing the other, one source complementing the other, one proof expanding upon and giving life and body to another proof, and each proof living off the other and supplying the other and complementing the other. So this is what we have, this is what we are about to show, and this is what there is. The Bible tells us the lost 10 tribes will be at the ends of the earth, that is, at the geographical extremities of the continental land masses, where the land of Israel is at the center of the earth. The land of Israel is the center of the earth, and from the land of Israel, the other continental land masses spread out, and at the ends of the earth, at the geographical extremities of these land masses, we find areas where nations who identify as Israel dwell, such as Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Scandinavia, Denmark, or the Netherlands, France, the British Isles, Ireland, after that North America, the USA and Canada. All of these areas, when we take the land of Israel as being the center, all of the areas are existent at the ends of the geographical extremities of the land masses of the earth. Is what the Bible tells us, Isaiah 24:16, 26:15, 41:8-9, 43-6, 49-6. And of Joseph, as it says in Deuteronomy 33:13-17, it says, "Blessed," and of Joseph he said, "Blessed will the Lord be his land for the precious things of heaven, for the dew and for the deep that crouches beneath, and for the precious fruits, and for the chief things of the ancient mountains, of the everlasting hills, of the earth and fullness of, the goodwill of him that dwelt in the bush," and so on. His glory is like the firstling of his bull. John Bull was a nickname for Britain, John Bull. And his horns are like the horns of a unicorn. A unicorn, a lion and a unicorn are the symbols of Britain. With them he shall push the people together until the ends of the earth. That's what, until the ends of the earth, the people shall be at, to the ends of the earth, and the 10,000s of Ephraim, and the 10,000s of Manasseh. So here we have it. In Isaiah 49:6, and he said, "It's the light thing it should be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give you for a light to the Gentiles, that you may be my salvation until the end of the earth." It also says the lost Gentiles will be isles, such as the Isles of Britain, Ireland, the British Isles, Australia, New Zealand. They are islands. That is, we don't mean, when it gives an indication, it means an important section of the 10 tribes who are being spoken about will have this attribute applied to them. It doesn't mean that all of the Israelite nations have to fulfill that attribute. It means that a significant portion, a historically important portion of them will have, and that's what we find. It says that they will be in islands. Incidentally, islands, according to some opinions, may also refer to peninsulas. So all of the Israelite nations are either in peninsulas or in islands. Scandinavia is a peninsula. What is a peninsula? A peninsula is an almost island. It's almost an island, but it's connected to the landmass. Nevertheless, all areas are yet beside the sea. That is another application of the word island. But the classical application of it is, as it means, as it says, that it's the word island. And islands, real islands, is where we do find descendants of Israel. We find them in Ireland, the land of Ireland, and also in the British Isles, and also in Australia and New Zealand. And this refers to the lost 10 tribes. And also, it's not only do we find that these words say this thing, but they apply not only to not these points of evidence are not isolated. They're usually given together with other points of evidence, so that when we finally come to choose an area or people that fit the attributes, we have to find a people who fulfill all of the attributes at one and the same time. And this is what we find in the concerning our islands. It says, Jeremiah 31:9-10, "I'm my father to Israel, and Jeremiah is my firstborn. Hear you the word of the Lord, O you nations. Declare it in the isles afar off. He that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as the shepherd does his flock." Also Isaiah 49:6, "Listen, O isles, unto me, you are my servant, O Israel, in whom I will be glorified, to bring Jacob again unto him, to raise up the tribes of Jacob, a covenant of the people." People in Hebrew, Brit-Am, our organisation Brit-Am in Hebrew means a covenant of the people. It also reflects the reality of Britain and America being the chief areas in which the lost 10 tribes in our time are to be found, and especially the tribes of Joseph, of Ephraim and Manasseh. Brit-Am, that is what our organisation calls us, a Brit, B-R-I-T hyphen Am, A-M. Brit means covenant, and Am means people. It can also mean a number of people. So that is the way Isaiah uses it, and that is where we took this name from. And it is very pertinent to us. And he says, "To inherit the desolate heritages from these from the north and the west, and these from the land of Sinim." So we see here too from this section in Isaiah chapter 49, the lost 10 tribes will be in the north and the west. It is the northwest to the land of Israel, and also in the lands of Sinim. And we've shown also the land of Sinim is Hebrew for the south land, which is in the southeast as against the northwest, and it is the land of Australia and New Zealand, as we have shown. At all events, he continues, "The eye shall wait for his law," Isaiah 42:9, Isaiah 42:4. "The name of the Lord, the God of Israel, in the isles of the sea," Isaiah 24:15. Isaiah 51:4-5, "Hearken unto my people, on my nation, my eyes shall judge the people, the eye shall wait upon me." Isaiah 69, "Surely the eye shall wait for me. And the ships of Darsh first, to bring your sons from my father." Ships of Tarshish first, as we have shown elsewhere, means ships plying, sailing over the Atlantic Ocean. And that means in the area between North America and the British Isles. And the ships of Tarshish are connected to the return of the lost 10 tribes. Therefore, the lost 10 tribes must be in that region. So we've been thighs or peninsulas and coasts here, Jeremiah 31:8. We're now talking about concerning the lost 10 tribes of Israel. It says that they will be in the Northland, Jeremiah 3-8, 31:6-10. They will be in Australia, the land of Sinim, according to Isaiah 49:12, that is Australia and New Zealand. It also refers to fires in the isles concerning the lost 10 tribes of Israel. This is in Isaiah 24:14, where it says, You shall lift up your voice, they shall sing for the majesty of the Lord, they shall cry aloud from the sea. Therefore glorify you the Lord in the fires, in the name of the Lord God of Israel, in the isles of the sea. Where the name of the Lord God of Israel in the isles of the sea, and fires, and in ancient times was a practice to light fires on the hills in order to spread messages, or to give direction to ships. That was what the British were known for. The British Isles were known in ancient times for this, for having fires set up on the hillsides throughout Britain. And Britain was an isle, and Britain was known for these fires, and Britain is recorded together with the fires of the sea. So this is already an indication of significance. And we bring sources concerning this. It also says that the lost in tribes will be in the best places of the earth. Like, it doesn't enough to be in. Just in the ends of the earth. The ends of the earth, it may also mean Japan. It may also mean Siberia. It may also mean places of Antarctica, places that are very difficult to dwell in. Greenland, Iceland. There are Israelites in those regions, but they are not the main areas of habitation. It says in Isaiah, in the Hebrew, Atzaleah, best place of 41:19, and the ends of the earth, and Atzaleah, which is given different interpretations, but the correct interpretation is the best areas, the most noble areas of the lands, of the ends of the earth, will be those in which the Israelites will dwell. In other words, the most habitable places, the most areas which are most congenial to human habitation will belong to Israel, and these places will be those that are at the ends of the earth. It's worth taking into consideration. Says the lost in tribes will be in Zarephath. Zarephath in Hebrew means Britain and northern and western Europe, especially France. This is found in Davidiy, verse 20, chapter 1, verse 20. In this, it says in the King James Version, in this captivity of the host of the late children of Israel shall bless that of the Canaanites even unto Zarephath. The captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Sepharad, shall possess the cities of the south. But in Hebrew, it says the words are different. The words have a different signification. It's Gurutahel, so this first exile, this is according to the classic commentators such as the Malbim, such as Rashi, such as this first exile of the lost 10 tribes, see Rashi on this verse, will be in the land known as France, Zarephath, known as France, or according to both France and England. That is where the lost 10 tribes were to go to. That's where they will be found in the end times. And that is where the Bible says they will be. And this is what the Bible tells us. Zarephath, look it up, look up our commentators on this and our explanations. And check it out with others. There are ways to check this out. Check it out on the internet, check it out. Somehow or other, this information is terribly important to us. The Bible is especially saying that lost 10 tribes in the end times will be in Zarephath, meaning Britain and France. And that, as well as related areas. And that is where we find them. There will be stone monuments showing the pathways of migration. See Jeremiah 31 verse 21, and we are shown that these stone monuments mean dolmens, according to the classical commentators on the Bible. So and they do show a pathway of migration from the British Isles, from Western Europe, back to the Middle East, back to the land of Israel, and the areas around it in which the loyal 10 tribes were to be found before their exile. And this is known, and this is proven by the Bible, and this is also proven by history and by archaeology. Now, there's a problem that most, not all, but most sources concerning the dolmens date them way beyond the time when the lost 10 tribes were exiled. They date them way back at the beginning of time, the beginning of civilization, and they give extraordinary far-fetched dates for them, and they are simply mistaken. And others have shown that these is not correct, that this dating of theirs that they use today is not correct. And we too have spoken about it and show it, and we'll show it again because we think this issue is important. But at the moment, even if you do not accept this or you are doubtful about it, it's worth your while checking into it. And if you still can't accept it, so put it aside, because we have plenty of evidence from other sources showing the same thing. The lost ten tribes will have recognised symbols. They will bald-headed eagle, symbol of the USA, see Micah 1:16. They will be symbolised with the lion and the unicorn, as we mentioned in the message in the blessing concerning Joseph, and before, and also in the blessing concerning the 10 tribes of Israel in the end times, as given by Balaam, the wicked prophet of the Gentiles, who was called by Balak, the king of Moab, to curse Israel, and he came from Pitla and on the Euphrates River, and he was paid money to curse the children of Israel, but he warned them in advance that if God does not allow him to curse them, he will not be able to. And every time he tried to curse them, only blessings came out. And so one of his blessings was that the Israelites towards the end times, the Israelites towards the end times would be recognised by being symbolised by a lion and a unicorn, and this is what we find in the symbol of Britain. Numbers chapter 23, 22 to 24, he says, he brought them out of Egypt, he has, as it were, the strength of a unicorn. There's no enchantment against Jacob, neither is any divination against Israel. According to this time it should be said of Jacob and of Israel, what hath God wrought? They should be a mighty people. Behold, the people shall rise up as a great lion, and lift himself as a young lion. He shall not lie down until he eat of the prey and drink the blood of the slain. See Numbers 23, 22, 24. So there we have, according to the King James translation, that Israel is represented by a lion and a unicorn in the end times. And this translation is correct, as we have shown in our commentaries. And so this too is a proof in its own right. It says they shall rule over other peoples. Genesis 27, 22, Genesis 27, 29, Genesis 48, 19. It says they shall be a multitude of nations, in Hebrew, Malay Goyim. That is the completion of the people, something that gives them substance, a sustaining other peoples, a ruler over other peoples, according to Onculus, in translating the Bible into Aramaic, according to rabbinical traditions. They shall rule over other peoples. They shall be fullness of the nation. Genesis 27, 29, 48, 19. Also they shall rule over the nations. See Psalms 47, 3. It says in Genesis 27, 29, if people serve your nations, bow down to you, be Lord over your brethren, let their mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone that curses you, and blessed be he that blesses you. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. But he also shall become a people, also shall be great. But truly his younger brother is Jacob. Jacob shall be greater than he, and his seed shall be a multitude of nations. This word in Genesis 48, 19, translated as a multitude of nations. In Hebrews, Malay Hagoyim, meaning the completeness of the Gentiles, the fulfillment of the Gentiles, that which gives substance, gives sustainment to the other nations. And that is what descendants of Israel through the British and through the Americans and through the French and the Dutch and other Israel nations have done to many nations throughout the world, and they are still doing in their own way. The lost 10 tribes we see, Pharisee Isaiah 42:10. They will be the dominant world power, as we have mentioned, Numbers 24, 7 to 9, Micah 5, 7 to 9. They will possess great military might. See Deuteronomy 33, 27, 33, 29, Jeremiah 51, 20 to 21, they will be the battle axe of the Almighty. That is the policeman of the globe. That is what Britain has, the role Britain has played, and the USA has also played it. The policemen of the globe, they enforce righteousness throughout the nations. Whenever there's problems with other nations, the ones who will finally, usually in most cases, the ones who will do something about it, are either the Americans, and before the Americans would have been the British. And they have played this role and are still playing it. Even maybe we can criticise sometimes somehow how they do it, how they've done it. They have a lot of failures, but they've also had successes. And this is all events is one of the characteristics that will characterise the lost 10 tribes in the end times. And this characterisation is found with them and with no others. It says they will defeat Edom, that is Edom representing Germany and other European nations. See Ezekiel 25:14, Obadiah 1 to 18. There will be a light for the Gentiles. See Genesis 12, 2-3, 18, 18-19, 18, 20, 22-18, 24-4, Isaiah 42-1, Amos 6-15. So this is what we have. This is what these are proofs that the lost 10 tribes are now amongst Christian peoples, and these are proofs apply to the lost 10 tribes, and they do not apply to anyone else. We will continue this subject in the following talks. Thank you. May the Lord God of Israel be with you.